Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's new car day, yay, new project car. So this is one that I've wanted for ages, but I've never seen it as a practical option to have as a daily. Now luckily, I'm in the fortunate situation where it isn't a daily and this is just a toy. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the new Audi TT Mark 1 project car. A 2001 Mark 1 Audi TT. So it's the 1.8 turbo running 225 brake horsepower. So obviously these come in a lower horsepower 180 model, and they also come in a V6 3.2 litre naturally aspirated. This one I got for an absolute bargain. I will tell you what I paid for it at the end of the video, but it's not a lot. So defect wise, it has no MOT. It's done 126,000 miles. The MOT ran out in October last year, so it's been 2, 3, almost 4 months it's been sitting around. As a result, the battery is absolutely toasted. It wouldn't even charge. I put it on a pulse charge. I've managed to get some life into it to a point where the battery charger actually recognises it now. It still hasn't gone over 20%, so I've ordered a new battery for it. MOT failures. It failed on the brake lines being corroded and the brakes having no meat on them. So if we look at the rear brakes there, hopefully you've got enough light in there to see, it's under 1.5mm on the pad, so that's a failure. The discs themselves, there's no lip, they look alright actually, apart from being a bit rusty. That tyre is just legal, and this tyre is borderline. I think this might be a failure, so we'll have to address that and get another one. You can see in there, look how thin the pads are. On the front, the pads are passable for an MOT, but they are thin, and front tyres aren't too bad. They've got a few mil left on them before they get to the legal limit. I haven't really had it running yet because of the battery. They kind of delivered it and dumped it yesterday. He has assured me it does tick over nicely. I was hoping to get to a point where the battery got some charge in it. It's still not left 20%, so we definitely have to replace that so we can get it running and see just how good it actually is. The advisories from the MOT was the lights, because they're heavily misted over, so we're going to need to get some wet and dry on them and give them a polish. We'll get them sorted out. With regards to the interior, it's not the colour I'd have gone for, I must admit. It's blue, but I hated it when I saw it on the photos before I bought the car. But actually it's quite growing on me now, so I think it's quite nice, to be honest. So if we look in, it's all very, very neat. Just needs a good clean. Obviously it's a manual as well, which manuals are more common than automatics in these, and automatics are quite rare. The dash LEDs are okay. Everything seems to work. Exterior wise, we've got clear coat failure on the roof here, on the roof rails. They're easy enough to isolate and paint, but as you can see, the bonnet, the clear coat, we've had a big clear coat failure on that, so we need to get that painted. Need to rip these stupid, I don't know what these are. Hit me up in the comments if you know what that is. It looks like an Among Us character, but that needs ultimately ripping off. The car itself I bought out at trade from a dealer. No warranties, no guarantees. The price I paid for it is absolutely sublime. So again, end of the video I'll tell you the finances involved. But I could not have bought one of these cars from Copart, repaired any damage or anything that needed doing to it. With delivery and Copart fees, it would have already put it over what I paid for this. So if we have a look in here, again, all very neat. It's been well looked after. You know what? I don't even know how to put these seats forward. I'm not even. There we go. I've not even had a chance to play with them yet. Right. So yeah, the rear seats all neat. And if we go into the boot, of course, we need to release the boot from the inside. We get in here. The good thing is, I know the battery charger's plugged in, but these things are operating now because nothing was working previously. Again, it just needs a a good clean. I probably need to do something with the struts on here because it's not exactly holding it up very well. Look under here, toolkit. I've already took the wheel locker out just to check it's the right one, but we've got the full toolkit that comes with the car, which is always a bonus. Put that back down. Now, obviously, it is what it is. It needs work. The priority is absolutely to get it through its MOT, and then from there we've got a load of modifications planned for this. It's running the 225 brake horsepower BAM engine, so it's 1.8 turbo, highly tunable, highly customisable. There's an awful lot of aftermarket parts available for this engine, so we should be able to push it to at least the 300, 350 mark before we need to start upgrading any of the internals on it. Comes with a standard front strut base that's fitted. I have no history on this vehicle, that's kind of the one negative. I don't know what the history is. I've managed to find the original owner, I've reached out to him to try and get some details, I've managed to find the garage that last on the MOTs. They hold some of the minor servicing, but they've not had the major things done there, so I've got no idea around the Haldex system on this and whether it's been serviced ever. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Haldex is the four-wheel drive system that Audi run on these vehicles. I think it's shared across the S3 and the Golf Mark 4 platform for the R32. So effectively it's an electronic clutch that sits on the end of the drive shaft at the back of the car and engages the rear wheels when the front wheels lose traction. So there's a little computer, there's a compressor, and there's obviously an oil supply, an oil filter that runs the Haldex system, and then there's also obviously oil in the rear diff, which is going to need to be changed. Bit of a pain in the arse to do the Haldex stuff, but not insurmountable. I'm quite looking forward to the challenge on it, to be honest. We've got to get that done, give it a full service, and let it prove its pedigree and make sure it's a good runner before we then consider it to be a candidate for modification. So we stepped inside because it was a little bit cold out there. But just looking at some of the history I know about the vehicle, so it has no history that I know of. I think that's the first kind of elephant in the room to get rid of, but the price I paid for it, I'm not too concerned, right? It's not a massive amount of money to risk. So going back on the MOT history, the last MOT that failed was, well, the last MOT that was a failure was the 1st of October 22. And it was 126,583, which is roughly around about the mileage of what it is now. So it hasn't done any miles since then, so it's sat for the best part of 4 months. And it failed on the near side front tyre tread depth below required 1.6mm and showing cords. I think he's had a part 1 put on it because there's no cords showing on that at all whatsoever. And the offside front tyre tread depth below the minimum of 1.6, again showing cords. Both front tyres, they're not new, but they're not exactly at the legal limit. So he's obviously had that done. Now, major defects. The rear brake pipe excessively corroded, both rear brake pipes, and both front brake pipes excessively corroded. Now, I'm not going to do anything with them before I put it in for MOT because we might have just had a bit of a fussy MOT tester. Some of the guys won't pull up for that. It is a 21-year-old car, that needs to be bear in mind. As long as the hose doesn't deteriorate to a point where it's leaking fluid, then it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Front headlamp light intensity severely reduced, and that is what I showed you on the video a minute ago where the front headlights have misted over. It happens, right? So what we'll do is we'll get some wet and dry, we'll work through the grades on that and give it a good polish at the end. That should restore the light to pretty much brand new. Rear service brake excessively binding. Well, we rolled the car off the transporter yesterday with relative ease. No brakes binding at the moment, so that's obviously been sorted as well. Exhaust carbon monoxide content after second fast idle excesses manufacturer specified limits. That could just be because the car maybe had been standing for a while and it hasn't been ran. Repair as soon as possible, so these are minor defects. The battery's insecure but not like to fall from carrier. Clamp, it says clamp missing. It is, I've had a look, the battery is loose, so I'll get a clamp for the sake of £6 on order and we'll get that changed out. And the other advisories are offside front brake pipe corroded. So it's covered in grease or other material. Kind of a repeat of the major defects that they've picked up, but anyway, I'll sort that out. Rear tyre worn close to legal limit, worn on edge. So I tested it and I can't find my tyre depth tread tester, tooly thingy majiggy. I got it from Halfords, but my dad always taught me with a 20p coin. So the outer edge of a 20p coin I think is around about 1.6 mil, correct me if I'm wrong. But as long as you can still, well, as long as you can't see the outer raised edge of a 20p piece, then the tyres are legal. So I've been round and there's that one tyre that I called out as being suspect before, that you can just see the top of the edge of the 20p, but it's only on the edge of the tyre. The rest of the tyre, completely legal. And then I've picked up here, rear suspension arm corroded but not seriously weakened, both sides very rusty. Again, we can sort the suspension arms out, they're not an issue. Oil leak but not excessive in the engine area. I've not noticed anything under the car. I have looked over the last kind of 12 hours, nothing's come out of it, but I haven't had it running, so that could be why. Prior to that, history-wise, the MOTs have been silly things like headlights not aligned properly, but the mileage seems consistent, which is good. I ran a HPI and history check on it. It's not a write-off. The mileage is consistent. There's no mileage discrepancies recorded on any of the databases, which is excellent. So that takes us to the plans for this car and what we're going to do with it. So I deliberately went for the 225 BAM engine because I want to tune the living hell out of it, right? I know how customisable and tunable these cars are. Really looking forward to getting my mitts on it. I wanted to get this video out there now, so I know I've built a bit of suspense as to what car was going to arrive, and a lot of you, I've got a lot of TT followers on my socials and they've picked up on the fact of what it was. It was a Mark 1 TT, so you're bang on. I'll give you a thumbs up for that one. So yeah, I wanted to give you an early sight of the car. The next video will be a little bit more interesting because we'll get it running, and hopefully by that point I'll have had it in for MOT and it'll have a pass and we can take it out and get it on test drive. I've got to fill in the V62s because there's literally no paperwork with this car. I've taken a blind leap of faith with the dealer that I part X'd it, well, didn't part X it, I traded it out off trader to trader. So yeah, what I paid for it, I suppose that takes us to the financials. So I paid £999. So it's a 2002, late 2002 model, it's a 52 plate, 126,500 miles. I've seen a lot of them listed on there for £2,000 plus in the same kind of condition. Obviously this one got a bit of a scabby bonnet, probably 150 quid to respray that, and it just needs the wheels tidied up and the brakes. I'm not reselling it for profit straight away anyway. This is going to be a project car. We're going to do a load of stuff to it and get a load of great content out of it. We're going to milk it for all it's worth. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. Hope this has been an informative update and I'll catch you on the next one.